this is your water heater.
Okay.
And it's a dual core water heater. So that means that there's two chambers in here. There's one chamber that is for the water that you bathe in and wash and the hot water that comes out of your sinks. And then the other chamber is for the in-floor heating system.
Okay.
The in-floor heating system chamber is a closed system, so it does not ever call for new water.
Oh.
It uses the same water all the time.
Always?
Yeah, always the same water. So there's a supply to the heating system, so this goes out of the water heater, and then it comes back much cooler as the return.
Right.
So if you look right here, you can see, let's see what's the best way to see the pipe.
Right, I can feel it.
Yeah, so you see that's the PEX pipe right there.
Right.
And this pipe has a 25-year warranty on it.
Okay.
And it's a really, really good pipe. It's been used for a long time, and one of the nice things about it is it can expand to about 2.5 times its size
Wow.
before it bursts, and then it has a memory to contract back to that size again.
Okay.
And what's nice is water, when it freezes, I think ice only expands about 1.5 times the size of water, so it's
Sure.
really hard for a freeze to break it. A freeze could break some of the valves or some of the connections still, but
Right.
it's good stuff. If for ever any reason there was a break in this pipe, if you forget and you nail through your floor and you puncture it, you would eventually see a little water spot in your ceiling.
Okay.
And so if you ever see a water spot in your ceiling, all they need to do is cut a little square out of the ceiling, and then they can patch the pipe. So
Okay.
it's not like the world's coming to an end and you have to tear apart your whole house to
Right.
fix it. They can actually patch this stuff
Okay.
really simply and easily. If there was ever a leak in your system and you weren't seeing water, you might consistently see this pressure gauge, which is a really important gauge, drop down quite often. Optimally, it's supposed to be set right around 40.
Okay.
It will work all the way down to 5 psi.
Okay.
So you're looking at that upper number, the psi measurement.
Okay.
So the main thing to remember is keep an eye on this gauge, and you'll see over the course of a year. I just had this service, so over the course of the year, you'll see this start to kind of drop, or you may,
Okay.
and that's normal. A little bit of air bubbles are getting into the system. Pressure's dropping a little bit just from the air getting in there, and it's pretty normal for it to drop. What you want to do is be proactive about this, and when it gets down to say below 20, you want to call Jans, and their number is either here or it's in your manual, and let them know and say, hey, I'm at the Village at 15th, my system's down to 15, and they'll say, okay, it's fine, but just keep an eye on it. What you want to do is get them here to set it back up to 40 before it gets down to say 5, because if it gets below 5, then your system stops working.
Okay.
And when it stops working, it'll get cold. You'll call them, and
By the time they actually arrive.
then they'll come the next day to fix it, and then it'll take another day for it to heat your home up.
Right.
So I can't tell you enough how important it is to just keep an eye on this on a regular basis. There shouldn't be any sudden drops.
Okay.
Really, it should just be a gradual drop. And then once a year they come and they do this service. It costs $140 to do the service, and it's just like any forced air system. It requires annual maintenance. They're not replacing filters. They're not. All they're doing is they're basically going to drain the water out of the system and put new water into the system.
The inflow
Yeah,
water.
exactly. So they basically bleed it all out, and then they take water from your hot water heater down there, and they'll attach a hose up to here,
Okay.
and they'll start adding water in, and then they'll have another hose that comes out and goes out your garage into one of the drains outside, and drain it all out, and that basically just changes the water, and it gets rid of any air bubbles that are in the system.
Okay.
And they're really good at taking these two knobs and turning them off at the right time and turning them on at the right time, and they get it just perfect so there's no air bubbles in there.
Oh, okay.
So it's just an annual service. If you guys, if the whole association does it at the same time, they'll give you guys a discount. So you
Sure.
may just, one mass email out to everyone, hey, it's time to service our heating systems. And, it just depends if you guys want to coordinate it and save, a few
Right.
bucks on it. So if, though, you forget about this and the pressure does go down to 0, this pump right here, which is this red pump, is going to be working really, really hard. It's going to heat up and it's going to burn itself out. So that's another reason why you want to be proactive about this and not let it get down to zero, because not only will you have them come out and add it, which is normal, you also have to replace the pump, which is another $150 or something to replace. So
Okay.
Keep an eye on it. If it does get down to zero for any reason, you can unplug the pump, and that's
Okay.
just fine. It'll prevent the pump from burning out.
Right.
So,
And what it will do is it will stop basically heating the house.
yep.
Okay.
If it's down to zero, it's not heating the house
Anyways.
even with or without the pump.
Sure.
So this pump is just an added feature to get the water up to the upper level. There's a valve. There's a little switch on on this side of the pump. So if you want to kind of look around, it's low, medium, and high.
Oh yeah.
These work best at medium.
Okay.
You can switch it to high, but we've found that the size of this unit, it's spec'd for medium, and the pump
Okay.
just comes adjustable, so
Okay.
they can't order the wrong pump. So just remember, if it does get down to zero, unplug the pump, but be really, really proactive about this. Every month, you could even hang a little card here that says, 30 days on the 1st of August.
date,
it
it was so
30
much.
psi. On the 1st of September, it was 28 psi, and then you can kind of keep track of it. And then this little red arrow that's on here is there to help you kind of remember where the optimal pressure is.
Right.
So then the top gauge, again, is just temperature, and that won't read unless there's a call for heat. So, it should be in the hundreds. But if the system turns on, then you'll see this temperature gauge start reading.
If the system turns on
Then you'll see this gauge of temperature.
and this is the temperature of the water
That's going
inside,
through it. Exactly.
and it should be around 100.
I think 100 or so, yeah, 120.
Okay.
I think 120 is
Yeah.
like the top.
Yeah.
Without burning children or something.
Right.
I think the one that you were mentioning,
Is for the
was-
heating system.
right? The one that you
Yeah.
were mentioning is for the shower.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this
This
down
one
here,
doesn't matter.
yeah, this one is just for the inflow.
inflow water that goes through.
Yeah, it should be a different temperature. So, so that's the majority of your system. You don't need to do anything with this stuff
Except
other
monitor.
than make sure that. And I just can't tell you enough. We've had people who haven't watched it, and then it gets down to zero. They forget about it, and then they're unhappy because it takes a couple days for them to get their heat
Right.
back.
Right.
So, and plus
So
they lose the
what
pump.
pressure is it measuring? Is it the water pressure in the
Yeah,
pipe?
inside the pipe. Yeah.
And so
the
it's
PSI.
And how did the air bubbles get in there?
They just work their way in through, the valves, through the manifold upstairs. It's just, I don't know. It's just,
Just
they
back
just,
the line.
yeah. It's
And
just,
so as the more air bubbles get in there, then the pressure drops down? Okay.
Exactly. So then Jane's comes, it's a natural thing for it to get air in it. It may not get any air in it. It may be, pretty airtight, but you still want to have them come once a year, bleed the system, and put new water in, regardless of
The
whether
PSI.
the PSI is down. So,
Okay.
the system seems to be running pretty good, but